Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to tell you a true and powerful story. This story is about a girl who could not see or hear, but she learned how to speak and write. Her name is Helen Keller. Her story teaches us about hope, hard work, and the power of language. Let's begin. Helen Keller was born on June 27, 1880 in Alabama, USA. She was a happy and healthy baby. She could see, she could hear, and she learned her first words just like other babies. Her parents, Arthur and Kate Keller, loved her very much. They lived in a small house in the countryside. They had a big garden and animals like chickens and dogs. Helen loved the sun, the flowers, and playing with her dog, Belle. But everything changed when Helen was 19 months old. One day, Helen became very sick. She had a high fever and could not stop crying. Doctors came, but they didn't know what was wrong. Helen's parents were very worried. After many days, Helen's fever went away. Her parents were happy, but then they noticed something was wrong. Helen did not turn when they called her name. She did not look at them. She could not hear. She could not see. The illness had taken away her hearing and sight. Helen now lived in silence and darkness. She could not speak. She could not understand what people said. She could not even see their faces. As Helen grew older, she became angry and confused. She did not understand the world around her. She used hand signs to ask for what she wanted, but many times people didn't understand her. She screamed, she kicked, she hit. Her parents didn't know what to do. They loved her, but they could not teach her. They needed help. When Helen was 6 years old, her parents found a special teacher. Her name was Anne Sullivan. Anne had also been blind as a child, but had surgery and could see again. Anne came to live with Helen. She was young, only 20 years old, but very smart and strong. From the first day, Anne began teaching. She used her fingers to spell words into Helen's hand. For example, when Helen held a doll, Anne would spell DOLL into Helen's palm. But Helen didn't understand. She thought it was just a game. She didn't know the finger signs meant words. Anne knew it would take time. One day, Anne took Helen outside. They went to the water pump. Anne put Helen's hand under the water. Then, she spelled WATER in Helen's hand again and again. Water, WATER. Suddenly, something amazing happened. Helen understood. She realized the signs in her hand meant the cool liquid on her skin. She dropped the jug and touched the ground. She wanted to know the word for ground, then the tree, then the sky. That day, Helen learned 30 new words. Now that Helen understood that words have meaning, she wanted to learn everything. Anne taught her to read using raised letters called brailles. Helen ran her fingers over the bumps and learned letters, words, and books. She wrote using a special tool that made dots on paper. She wrote letters, essays, and later even books. Helen asked questions all the time. She wanted to know what things looked like, how things worked, and why people did what they did. She was learning quickly like a sponge. Helen wanted to go to school, but most schools did not accept students who were deaf and blind. Anne helped her learn at home. But later, Helen went to special schools for the blind and the deaf. She worked very hard. She studied French, German, math, history, and science. When she was 20 years old, she entered Radcliffe College, a part of Harvard University. She was the first deaf and blind person to go to college in the U.S. Anne went with her every day, spelling every word into Helen's hand. It was not easy, but Helen never gave up. After college, Helen became a writer and a speaker. She traveled around the world to give speeches. She could not speak with her voice clearly, but she learned to speak by touching people's lips and feeling their words. She wrote books about her life, her beliefs, and her dreams. Helen believed that everyone, blind or deaf or not, had the right to learn, live, and be loved. She met presidents, kings, and leaders. She helped raise money for blind children, education, and workers' rights. She was not just a woman with disabilities. She was a voice for millions. Helen Keller lived a long life. She died in 1968, at the age of 87. She left behind a powerful message. Although the world is full of suffering, it is also full of the overcoming of it. Her life showed the world that anything is possible. With love, support, and education, a person can do anything. Even a girl who could not see or hear learned to read, write, speak, and change the world. Let's learn 5 useful words from this story. Blind, cannot see. Deaf, cannot hear. Braille, writing system for blind people. Palm, the inside of your hand. Overcome, to win against a problem. Thank you for listening to the story of Helen Keller. And if you want more English learning through stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. See you next time. Bye-bye.